Hello, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Superpower Broadcasting. In this video, I'm going to be discussing Iran's recent attacks. And I say Iran because though it may be touted as the Houthis, they are a proxy of Iran. And while they do not have the logistical capacity to carry out these attacks, it is the case that Iran does. Now, Iran attacked the Abqaiq and another oil refinery over in Saudi Arabia. Abqaiq is the world's largest processing plant for petroleum. It's the largest stabilization plant for petroleum in the world. When they took out with these drones or missiles, when they took out the Abqaiq facility, that alone brought down world oil production by about 5%. It's pretty massive. That works out to about 10%. I should clarify. Works out to about 50% together with the other refineries that were struck. Works out to about 50% Saudi Arabia's oil production. Saudi Arabia is the second largest oil producer in the world. They produce about 10 million barrels a day. They are just behind Russia. Russia produces a few percent more oil barrels per day than they do. This is big. This is big. It's an act of war, right? Absolute act of war. There is video of the fires over the compound, and you see it, and it looks like a city of sorts, right? And the thing is, you know me, I don't really talk about this too much, but especially back in the day, I used to spend a lot of time on Google Earth, browsing around, looking up sites of interest that, for me at least, places in Russia, Siberia, North Korea. But, I like to get a sense of what the area is like, what the facilities like and everything. Because sure, they show some aerial imagery on the news. Okay, that's cool, but there's no frame of reference. Like, I didn't even exactly know where that is in the world. Most people won't know where that is in the world. But it turns out Abqaiq, it's about 50 kilometers inland from the Persian Gulf. It is it's a gated community. It's pretty luxurious for the most part. Sure, when you see the video, you see like this burnt out looking building or whatever. I'm not sure if that's because of the fires or if it was just an abandoned building. No, the area is actually, by all accounts, is a first world community for mostly expatriates that are working on the oil refineries. It was founded by Aramco in partnership with the Saudi royals back in, I believe, the 1940s. And yeah, no, it's a pretty nice place, really nice place, like subdivisions and stuff. They basically tried to like recreate America, like a piece of America in Saudi Arabia. A lot of the buildings are like bungalows styled after America. It's kind of like, it's like a Las Vegas type almost, in the sense of like it's this oasis in the middle of nowhere with, a lot of classic American architecture and everything. It's an interesting place, right? So they struck the processing facility. Again, it's the largest in the world in the industry. It's massive, absolutely massive. They got some really good effective direct hits on the site, and the Saudis were not able to stop it in time. Now, that's a topic for another video. I got a lot of issues with Saudi Arabia. I mean, their military's incompetent. Sure, they're well equipped, they're well funded. They are, as all dictatorships are, they are subject to the same bureaucratic limitations of, the same issues that the Syrians run into when they invaded Israel several times, which is that everything has to go through the dear leaders. Everything, it's just such a crap show where there's no agency, there's no ability to act given to the low level troops. There's no real training that goes in. It's all cushy. I mean, they're not a very formidable fighting force, even with a huge military budget. Because, again, you can have all the equipment in the world, but if you're not experts, if you're not professional, if you don't know what you're doing, you're not really going to get anywhere, right? And that's kind of where Saudi Arabia is at, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because even though I disagree with their regime 100%, I would topple them 100%, right? Iran's worse, and they're an ally against Iran. They're not trying to destroy Israel. They're one of the only Arab dictatorships out there that doesn't want to destroy Israel. So could be worse, could be a lot worse. Iran's a lot worse right now, right? So Saudi Arabia, yeah, they're evil, but they're still the lesser evil. So let's just keep that in perspective here. So they were attacked. Now, okay, so the Houthis did it. That's the talking point or whatever. Houthis took responsibility. Well, of course the Houthis were going to take responsibility. That makes all the sense in the world. For two reasons. One, Iran doesn't want to be seen as complicit in this because that could cause some grave ramifications for them. The Houthis, on the other hand, they already have grave ramifications. They're already at war, so it's nothing to lose. Iran wants to wash their hands clean of it. Houthis want all the propaganda in the world. Also, Houthis are the proxies of Iran. They do the bidding of Iran. So for all intents and purposes, it was Iran. It was either, there are only two scenarios here. Either it was Iran acting with the Houthis as the conduit through which the attacks are launched. I have my doubts. Or it was Iran directly. Either, feeding some Shiite militia over in Iraq, the launching sites, or they launched it directly from Iranian territory or Iranian naval assets in the Gulf. We really don't know yet. There's some speculation that, or there's some rumor that there were missiles or aerial, UFOs, basically unidentified flying objects that were tracked on Kuwaiti radar. So we know it came from the north. Houthis are based in Yemen, so really, the Houthis have some missile sites set up north of Kuwait. They're fighting this guerrilla warfare type thing over in Yemen. I mean, the Houthis, they don't have the capacity to do that. No, it's Iran. It's Iran. So Iran attacks Saudi Arabia. Now, I've seen this described as shocking. People have described this. I've seen this in the media. On CNBC, they had an analyst on who described it as an absolute shock. He described it as a shock to Saudi defenses, a shock to the world oil market, and a shock that this could happen. I'm not shocked by it. I'll tell you why I'm not shocked by it. Iran attacked 2 vessels in the Persian Gulf, I guess probably about 2 months ago. They just brazenly attacked 2 crude tankers in the Gulf. Why? Because they wanted to prove that they could do it. They just wanted to say, oh yeah, we can attack these ships. We can force them to land in our shores and detain their crew. And you're not going to do anything about it. That was the message they were going to send. Was that shocking? Yeah. That was probably the moment when you should probably be shocked. Be like, oh, okay, Iran, they're really a rogue state. All that rhetoric about, oh, they're a rogue state. Oh yeah, that's actually true. Okay, cool. So that's who we're dealing with. Let's get the airplanes ready to go. Let's take them out. That's a logical reaction. They proceeded to shoot down a U.S. drone. $130 million U.S. drone just shot down brazenly. Act of war under the United States of America, right? Act of war, 100%. And what happens? Oh, it's a shocking attack. Why would Iran do this? Well, they got away with the 2 tanker vessels. Well, they think they could get away with this. Turns out they were right. Why? Because the U.S. is governed by the taker-in-chief, Donald Trump. And all the non-interventionists in his administration, save for, at the time, John Bolton the Based, but of course we all knew he was never taking the advice of John Bolton the Based. So what would Iran have to worry about? So Iran thought, hey look, we can cost-benefit analysis this. There's a 0.002% chance that the U.S. responds with some limited strikes against, let's say, 5 of our radar facilities. We lose 30 soldiers or whatever. Okay, that's cool. We don't care about our own people anyway, so that's cool. No loss to us. We still get our Porsches and our liquor and our swag Benzes and our swag palaces. So it's cool. That's what the leadership in Tehran thinks. Or there's a 99.99998% chance that America, they're run by a bunch of non-interventionist ISO cucks, useful idiots that Oh, they're not going to do anything. And even if they don't do anything, the other side is going to praise them for it and say, oh, he's not starting another war. How wonderful is that? Because America at this point only really has the same argument on both sides. Most of the Democrats say war bad, and most of the Republicans and the paleo idiots like Buchanan and Paul and so on say, oh yeah, we're bad, we're bad, we're bad. That's it. That's their Overton window. You got war bad, and then you got we're bad, we're bad, we're bad. That's the Overton window. This is how cringe. This is the era of cringe we're living in. The leadership in Iran, they're not stupid. Like, I hate those guys. 100% I hate those guys, but they're not stupid. It would be stupid on our part to assume that our enemies are stupid. No, Putin's smart. Kim's a pretty smart guy. Yeah, Ayatollah Khamenei, smart guy. Um, all these guys, Rouhani, smart guys. What do they do? Well, they look at the situation unfolding. They see America's run by a bunch of non-interventionist isocucks, and they think America probably wouldn't intervene. Guess what? Turns out it doesn't take a rocket scientist to come to that conclusion. Turned out, yeah, it was a smart move on their part. They were right. America wasn't going to do anything about it. Then they're like, okay, well, we shot down the drone and we got away with it, and we attacked the 2 oil tankers and we got away with it. We gotta take it up a notch. We gotta prove that we're based. We gotta prove that we're the top dogs in the region, right? So what do? Well, they say, why don't we just outright just attack our enemy over there in Saudi Arabia? Like, bump this Cold War stuff. We've been in a Cold War for them for 30 years. Let's just attack them. Let's just go to war with them. Nothing's gonna happen. They're not gonna do anything about it. So they send off the missiles or the drones or whatever it was. They destroy 50% of Saudi oil production, cause a massive amount of damage. Total act of war. Again, that's not up for debate, by the way. When you do that, that's not, oh, did they mean it as an act of war? No, it's an act of war. 100% it's an act of war. This is so stupid that we're even having a debate about whether it was Iran or whether it was deserves a retaliation or whatever. No, it was an act of war. It was an act of war. I mean, that's the fact that we can have a debate about whether an act of war yields a retaliation or whether it should yield a tweet saying, "Oh, I was gonna respond, but then I figured I'd act tough and let them get away with it." That's what the all-taker-in-chief Donald Trump tweets out. Why? Because he only takes L's, and he tweets all the L's he takes. Because he's a loser, and he gets off on being a loser, and he likes it, and he likes sharing it with the world because he's an exhibitionist about being a loser. It's pathetic, it's disgraceful, it's degenerate. He's an isocuck. We get it, right? But here's the thing. With Iran, they attack this facility. This affects the world oil market. Like, it's a step up. Each time it's a step up. It's a step up. Next time, what do? Maybe they lob some rockets over at Israel. Maybe they hit a U.S. base in the region. Maybe they I don't know. Maybe they load up some chemical weapons and they hit a U.S. base in the region and kill a bunch of U.S. soldiers. Because why would America retaliate? America never retaliates with Donald Trump. Why would there be a retaliation? It's a window of opportunity. These dictators, these tin pot despots from North Korea to Iran to Russia to communist China and so on and so forth, they view Trump's administration as a window of opportunity. Now, how embarrassing is that? Imagine you become president of the United States of America. You're the leader of the most powerful superpower in the history of the world. And all of your rivals and enemies in the world see you, the moment you come to office, as their moment of opportunity. How embarrassing is that? Like, if I became president and I found out that the leaders of the world thought that I was, this goofball that they could take advantage of, and that as long as I'm on the watch, that they can do whatever they want, I would take a moment and I would think, what have I done that gave them this wrong impression? And I would set an example to show that I mean business, and I would absolutely destroy Kim Jong-un's regime. And I would do a preemptive nuclear strike against North Korea so that the others get the message and fall in line. Because you don't have to go to war with all of them. You just need to do a couple in short order, like North Korea, and then do Iran. Like, right, boom, boom. like, 1-2 sort of move within a couple years of each other, then all the other dictators in the world, Assad and all the other ones, Maduro, they're going to get their act together, and they're either going to start reforming or they're going to be next on the chopping block. And they know it, and they'd rather try to hold on to some semblance of power so we don't even have to go to war with everybody in the world. We just need to make a couple examples so the others fall in line because they know we mean business. But no, they know that Trump doesn't mean business. They know that Trump means moral bankruptcy. And in the personal case, financial bankruptcy. Because because he's the all-taker-in-chief, and he takes L's in his finances, and he takes L's on the world stage. He takes L's in foreign policy. He takes L's on Twitter. He's a total loser. He's the L-taker-in-chief. And all these leaders in the world, the tin pot despots, they know it. They take advantage of it. And for that, yeah, I get it. Like, look, I don't have criticism over here that Iran did the attack. Like, I'm not going to say it was a stupid move for Iran to do it. Because I don't think it is. Because I don't think that there's going to be any retaliation for it. What I will say here is that it should have been a stupid move on their part. It should be the case that there's immediate retaliation, their regime gets leveled, they're gone, and the Iranian people get liberated. That's how this should end. This should have a happy ending. Yeah, it's an egregious attack, but there should be a silver lining to this. The silver lining should be, okay, now's our go-ahead. Now we take out Iran. Simple as that. We don't need to worry about a nuclear war anymore with them in Israel and the region. We don't need to worry about them nuking U.S. bases in the region. We don't need to worry about them enriching uranium. They have a free country now. They can be our ally, and we can trade with them. And you know what? Maybe now they get a nuclear program because they have a democracy and they're allied with us and they're going to be a partner. But they're a rogue state right now. They're run by a rogue state, and the people don't have a say in how the government conducts its business. I mean, you think the Iranian people are happy about this? You think the Iranian people want war? They don't want war. That's the problem. As long as the world is divided between a free and an enslaved population, there will be war, because those who enslave people don't care if the slaves don't like what they're doing. It's irrelevant to them. If all the world was a democracy, there really wouldn't be any war. I mean, this goes back to Immanuel Kant, right? The idea of the perpetual peace. Oh, but all the academics in their isocuck ivory towers say, oh, but that's an imperialist way of thinking. That's such a neocon way of thinking. That's such a misguided way of thinking, and it can never happen. And oh, democracy is actually a problematic ideology, and actually America is problematic, and it's actually Iran and Russia that are the victims of the West and Western liberalism and Western imperialism and neocolonialism. This is what passes for sophisticated discourse and international relations faculties throughout the West. Pathetic. No, Immanuel Kant had the right idea there with the perpetual peace. And I mean, his point wasn't even so much, right, that democracy is like the best system per se, or that there's any sort of attachment to like, oh yeah, democracy per se is the best. No, the thing was, the people don't really like war. So if all the world is a democracy, then the peoples of each of those countries, what they want gets represented in the government. They don't want war, so there won't be war between democracies. We have to understand that dictatorships don't play by that rule book. They don't care what their people think. They send their people as cannon fodder. They torture their own people. Like, they kill their own people. So if their people die on a battlefield, it's not like they're going to cry about it. They're going to see it as one less potential person that would have rebelled against them. They're going to see it as a victory. I mean, Kim Jong-il, when 3 million North Koreans died in the arduous march in the 1990s, what was his reaction to it? Did he think, oh, this sucks, 3 million people are dead, now we can't take their tax money? That's what you might think he would think about that, right? This sucks that we can't rob as much money from them, right? You would think that that's what a rational dictator would think. No. Kim Jong-il, he was an actual rational dictator. How did he see it? He saw it as a victory. You know why? Because the 3 million who died of starvation were mostly limited to the people around Chongjin and the surrounding region. Why is that relevant? Because all the people that his regime classified as potential enemies, people that weren't quite at the level that they would send to the gulags, but were also the lowest social class in their communist society, they were exiled to the Northeast with like no food and everything. He was happy that those 3 million people died because they were purposefully the people that the state viewed as hostile. They have they have about 53 different songbun or social classes in their communist structure, but as far as the main classes go, there are three categories of songbun. They are the hostile class, the wavering class, and then the loyal class. The loyal class is about 10% of the population. They're the elites who live in Pyongyang. The rest of the country is either seen as wavering or hostile. In other words, if they die, the government sees it as a relief because they don't have to worry about them stirring up trouble potentially. So when 3 million died of starvation, Kim Jong-il said, yes, I have a higher chance of holding on to power now. He didn't see it as, oh, I'm not going to be as rich anymore, because he was already rich enough. Because whether he would have had $12 billion or $14 billion if he robbed their tax money if they had survived, doesn't matter, because he'd rather keep the 12 billion instead of the 14 billion and have a 100% chance of staying in power than have a 99.8% chance of staying in power. Because let's keep it real. Even a revolution probably wouldn't get that far because those people were close to starving anyway before the famine happened. So that's how a rational dictator views these things. They do not play by the same game that we do. They are operating on a fundamental different set of assumptions. They view humans as disposable. They view humans as a problem. They view humans as a threat. They view humans as filth. They view humans as icky. Kim Jong-il, for example, never smiled when he was pictured with his own people, even if they were generals and so forth. Of course, if they were the common people, he wouldn't be pictured with them. He wouldn't visit the common people. He would do the factory guidance inspections, and he would meet with the managers and so on. Or he might make a show and have some worker or something show up, but they would have a shower beforehand and stuff organized by the government. No, he viewed his people as pathetic. He viewed them as gross. He viewed them as somebody that he'd have to take a shower after spending some time in the presence of the North Korean people. They were peasants in his view. You know who he did smile with, or I should say with whom he did smile? Bill Clinton. He loved to be around Bill Clinton. Michael Jordan basketball, so on and so forth. Anytime a Westerner would come over, he would smile it up. Why? Because he viewed them as his peers. He viewed them as not peasants. He viewed his own people as gross. He viewed the West. He had 30,000 Hollywood movies. These people, these dictators, they are literally evil. Like when I talk about the neoconservatives as being good and the Tin Pot despots as being evil, that sounds like you could accuse me, of course, of being a simpleton, right? That I am a simpleton, that I am seeing the world in black and white. There are no shades of gray in this. There are none. This is an actual case in which the world is black and white. There is an enslaved world and there is a free world. There is a world which is subject to tyranny, and there is a world which has self-determination. There is a world which operates under the most grotesque tyrannies that we've ever seen. And there is a world which has the most abundant prosperity and freedom which we have ever seen in human history. And these worlds coexist side by side right now. That it is the Dark Ages in North Korea and the Taliban occupied Afghanistan. And it is the most advanced it has ever been in human history where I live. And this is unfortunate. And I am grateful to be born in the West. I'm grateful to live in the West. I'm grateful that I'm able to, spend my life here. Guess what? I could have been born in Afghanistan. I could have been born in North Korea. Am I going to forfeit and say, oh yeah, I'm going to shirk the moral duty to uphold my fellow human beings' dignity and say, yeah, we'll let Syria, we'll let Bashar the Butcher kill 600,000, force 8 million to flee in terror. Why? Because it's just convenient if we let him terrorize the region. Oh, it's just convenient if we let the Kim dynasty murder their own people for 10 million years. Oh, it's convenient if we let fascist Russia be fascist for another 1,000 years. Oh, it's so convenient. No, It's not. It's not. These are problems that, while they are morally repugnant currently, and they reflect on us with the most highest degree of moral shame on our people for not doing anything about them, they also grow to pose a security threat to us. We can see this with North Korea. Today they have 200 nukes. Tomorrow they have 2,000. The next day they have 20,000. At what point does that finally get through the people's thick skulls, who, I should say, the non-interventionist people's thick skulls, that this is a threat? Is it when the Russian troops are on the Canadian and the Mexican border with the United States that the non-interventionist Americans think, oh, maybe Russia wants to take us over? They've already taken over the rest of the world. Maybe they're going to come for us next. Because I can almost guarantee you that about half of those non-interventionists say, oh yeah, Russia should come in and invade us because we have a bunch of gays and feminists in this country, and it would be great if they liberated us from them. That's what a lot of these lefties and the paleo-conservatives would say, like the Jimmy Dore types, the Kremlin Kyle types, the what would you call it? The Sargon of Akkad types, the Tanky types, the Tanky Tulsi types, the 4chan types, the left tube types. They what would they say? They'd say, oh yeah, we got a lot of F words here. And I don't mean the swear word, I mean the homophobic slur. We got a lot of K's here. And, you know, I don't mean any swear word, I mean the slur for Jewish people. And they'd say we got a lot of feminists here. So come in, Russia. Please save us from this degeneracy. And they would love the world to be a global fascist state. 100%. 100%. They wouldn't view Russia as a threat then. That's how un-American these people are, by the way. Like, even if Russia invaded America, they would be on the side of the Russians. Like, there's that guy, Texas. His name is Texas, from that Simon Ostrovsky interview when he was doing the dispatch to Ukraine. I forget which episode it was. It was back, I think, about 2014, where he interviewed. He caught up with one of the Americans that went over, defected to fight for the Donetsk People's Republic. This guy is like this cowboy. He's got this thick Texas accent. He calls himself Texas, and he's fighting for the Russians in eastern Ukraine. And he's talking about how, oh yeah, we got a lot of problems in the West. You know, we got a bunch of gays, and he used some homophobic slurs and stuff. And we got a bunch of feminists thinking that they can have all the, you know, overturn all the God's will or whatever for the world. And, you know, we're going to go over there in our BTRs or whatever. He was talking about like the Russian armored personnel carriers. And we're going to roll into America, and we're going to roll into Texas, and we're going to clean up, and we're going to set things straight. That's what this guy said. This guy, I mean, again, some of these people that believe this kind of crap, like Alex lost my kids to own the Libs Jones. He believes that kind of crap, that Russia's going to be the savior of the West. Guess what? That makes you a fifth column. That makes you a traitor. If you want Russia to invade the U.S. because you think that the U.S. should be like Russia, yeah, you're a traitor. You're 100%. You're a traitor. Again, this is a common sense sort of thing. That's some Benedict Arnold level bullcrap right there. This guy is anathema to everything that we believe in. This guy is repugnant. This guy is a moral obligation. This is unbelievable, and yet this is what passes for, oh, you know, the era of cringe. It's pathetic. It's 100% pathetic. And so I was talking about these Iranian strikes, right? They're going to get away with it. Of course they're going to get away with it. We're not doing anything about it. U.S., Canada, Britain, we're not going to do anything. Even Israel is not going to do anything. Saudi Arabia is not going to do anything. Why? Because, war against Iran, but Iran's a Russian ally, and Russia, they're base. They you know, they're Christians or whatever. So, by the way, they're not. 97% of Russians don't even go to church, ever. It's basically just Putin and his patriarch Kirill that have the facade and the pomp and circumstance of Orthodox Christianity. But let's keep it real. Those guys are atheists. They like the money. They really like the money. They like the money. They like the power. They like the pomp and circumstance. No, there's no way those guys actually believe in that BS. But no. So Iran, they're a fundamentalist rogue state. They attacked Saudi Arabia. They took down 50% of Saudi oil production. Why? Well, they make money off of it. They also get to prove that they're the tough guys. They get to take advantage of that window of opportunity. And again, how embarrassing would it be that your job, when you're on the clock, that's the window of opportunity? Embarrassing. This guy Trump said that he was going to make America win. He make America take the W. He's the L taker in chief. He only knows how to take the W. He say he was the L. He only knows how to take the L. He's the L taker in chief. He only knows how to take the L. He said that he was going to get America a bunch of W's when he was on the campaign trail. And all he got for America was a bunch of fat L's. He just took a fat L. He said he was going to deliver a big dub, and he took a fat L. Pathetic. 100% pathetic. Absolute disgrace. The thing is, with this guy, it's not just Trump. I mean, we're governed by isolationists in all these countries, right? It's pathetic. But the West is run by a bunch of clown balls. But with Iran, with all of this, they also make money off of it. On top of getting it to look like the tough guys, because they've lowered world oil production by 5%, they've lowered the supply. Now the oil prices go up. Guess who needs a higher amount of money per barrel to be profitable? Iran. Oh, would you look at that? Out of the two countries that drill a lot of oil in the region, Iran and Saudi Arabia, it turns out that the one that needs a higher break-even price attacked the one that needs a lower break-even price, and the price of oil per barrel went up. Oh, it turns out not only did they get their way style-wise, they also got their way at the bank account. So, yeah, the sanctions are hurting them, but this is going to help them survive the sanctions. This is unacceptable. We should be bombing the crap out of them right now. 100%. I mean, this should have happened when they shot down the drone, the U.S. Well, should have happened a long time ago. It should have happened in 1979. But, I mean, okay, we're going to wait 40 years. Pathetic. Yeah, let's go in there. 100%. I'm going to have a video coming soon. You know, the case for war with Iran. I can guarantee you, by the time it comes out, still nothing will have come of this. Pathetic. Absolutely pathetic. I mean, this is basically like, you know, Russia attacks the U.S. and destroys some of their oil production so that they can make more money on their oil. And the U.S. does nothing about it. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I put that out as a hypothetical just to make an analogy. Let's say Russia had some ships on patrol on the eastern seaboard, and they attacked some oil refineries. They just launched some cruise missiles, and they just nuked a couple refineries over in Texas. Does anybody think that Trump would retaliate against Russia? No, he would say that it was a strong move. He would say, oh, you know, Putin's sorry, but that was a tough move on his part, and you know, he's a strong leader, and when he speaks, his people obey, and that's cool. That's what Trump would say. And the Pentagon would say, Mr. President, Russians, they just nuked us, dude. What are you going to do? And Trump would say, deep state, fake news, Jews. That's what he would say, right? Pathetic. Pathetic. This man is not fit to be president of the United States. Nobody who is a non-interventionist is fit to be president of the United States. In fact, if you're non-interventionist, you're not fit to be president of any or prime minister of any Western country. You're not fit to be a world leader. You're not fit to be in any public office that is in any way related to or concerning the issue of foreign policy or matters of alleviating the suffering of people in the world. Maybe you can be a small town mayor. And that's cool. You can be like the most staunchly non-interventionist Ron Paul, Bernie Sanders type, Tucker Carlson type guy and be a mayor of a small town in Saskatchewan or Indiana or something. That's cool. That's cool. May you make a really good mayor. May you be a great mayor. May you really improve conditions in the city. That's cool. Here's where we're not letting you anywhere near. Foreign policy. Yeah, you're not allowed near there anymore. No, we don't allow isocucks to be presidents. We don't allow L takers and chiefs anymore. We only want W takers and chiefs. By the way, if you want a W taker in chief, you should elect John Bolton. Pretty based guy. He knows how to take W's. I mean, when you want to take W's and you're not sure how, you hire, you know who you call. You call John Bolton. Hire Nikki Haley. Who you call when you want to take L's? Or I should say, who you call when you want to take dubs? You call Nikki Haley. Who do you call when you want to take L's? You call Donald Trump. Oh, and I mean, he'll take a big fat commission for advising you on how to take the L's, and and he'll go and squander the money trying to court more credit from a bunch of Russian oligarchs. Pathetic. So here's what happened with Iran. Iran had sent up a bunch of missiles. By the way, they have the largest ballistic missile force of any non-nuclear country. The Houthis don't. Like, the Houthis don't have shit. So yeah, it was Iran, and yet the Houthis, they claim responsibility for it. They work for Iran, but that's convenient because it allows Iran to dissociate itself from culpability. Clever. I'll say it's clever. I don't think they needed to do it. I think Iran could come out and said straight up. Ayatollah could give a speech and say, yeah, we did it. We're based. We're badass. We did it. What are you going to do about it? Nothing would happen. I think Iran missed an opportunity here to look swaggy. They could have balled. They could have said, oh yeah, we did the strikes. What are you going to do? I think the reason why they have the Houthis claim responsibility is so that, it's harder to retaliate against them. Yeah. Guess what? If you're the leader of Iran and you're watching this, you don't have to worry about being retaliated against. You could do anything. You could destroy Israel and America wouldn't do anything against you because America is led by a non-interventionist. You guys have a golden window of opportunity to do whatever you want. You can invade as many countries as you want. You can attack the entire world oil production. You can do whatever you want. You can get all the nukes you want. America's not going to do anything. Trump just fired John Bolton because John Bolton said that it was a dumb idea to have the Taliban over. So this guy, America's led by a guy who loves terrorists. He thinks they're cool. He thinks they're swaggy. He thinks that when they speak, their people listen. He's impressed by fascists and communists and dictators. You guys missed a big opportunity to take a bigger dub here. I mean, you guys took a big W. It's already a big W. You have the production of your biggest opponent in the oil production industry, and that's your main source of economic revenue, especially with the sanctions, where you can't really do any other industries. I get it. You guys took a big W, and we have to admit it, because we're led by a bunch of losers, and we let you get away with it, because you guys have no deterrent. We get it. You took a big W. I mean, we're neocons here. We call things as they are, right? It's not like we're going to pretend that, well, the West still won out this. No, the West took a big L. That's clear. Saudi Arabia took a big L. Israel took a big L. You guys took a big W. I get that. If it were me, you guys would be taking a big irradiated L right now, but that's just my view. If I were the president of the United States, we'd be sending over the B-2s armed with some B-61s, 1.5 megaton type range on your capital, 100%. But I'm not the president, unfortunately. So you guys cleared that one, cleared to take dubs. So with respect to all of this, of course, what do we see? We see that you guys missed a big opportunity, and maybe it's a lesson learned. You guys are smart. You guys are probably going to figure out pretty soon that we were worried and we wanted to cover ourselves and cover our butts just in case America did anything, but they're not even talking about doing anything. So next time you guys attack a big oil refinery, let's say in Saudi Arabia, or next time you guys fire off a bunch of rockets at Israel, if you feel more cocky, just take responsibility for it and say, oh yeah, that was us. We did it. It wasn't the Houthis. That was us. And we're based and we're ballers. Because guess what? America's not going to do anything. Why would America do anything? America's led by a non-interventionist. So you guys have the clear. You guys are A-okay. You guys can do whatever you want and take credit for it, and nothing will come of it. You guys have the golden window of opportunity that past dictators like Saddam Hussein never could have dreamed of, that they could live in a world without having to fear America. Saddam Hussein, he feared America every day. Gaddafi, he feared America all the time, every day. He would walk out and have these huge state ceremonies and all the swag and luxury and everything, but he knew deep down in the back of his mind it could all come crashing down just like that if America decided that his time was up. They lived in a state of terror and swagger as they saw it, On the one hand, they were balling. On the other hand, they were crapping themselves at the fear that of justice, of America, of judgment in the form of American forces and coalition forces. They knew, they were terrified. Bashar, he lives in fear too. He does not live in fear of losing the Civil War if it stays the Civil War. He lives in fear of America. You guys are in a position now where, and of course Assad, he doesn't know so much anymore because of Trump, right? But you guys are in a very lucky position, and Kim too. You guys are in a very lucky position. You are privileged dictators. You are the most fortunate dictators in history in many ways, because you don't have to worry like your forebears did. You really don't have to worry. America will do nothing to you. In fact, America will let you get away with it and say that it's a win for America. They'll say, oh, this is a win. We're sticking it to the deep state by letting Iran get away with this. That's how he'll phrase it. That's how the Al-Taker-in-Chief will phrase it. So you guys in Iran, you dictatorship, you do whatever you want. You do big genocide against your own people. You do massive genocide against the Kurds in Iran. Over in the west, the western mountainous regions, you could do massive genocide against the Kurds. You could do a huge strike on Israel. You could do a massive attack on Saudi, all simultaneously. And there's a very good chance that America would say, oh, it's the neocons trying to push us into war. All that was a false flag. It's a false flag. They didn't do the genocide to the Kurds. That's just some Jew propaganda. That's what Trump would say. That's what his followers would say. And Tucker Carlson would say, hey, look, Mr. President, all this stuff is going on, but that's none of our business. We have no business being over there. This is just what the Jews are trying to get us into. That's basically what he would say. He would dog whistle about it because he's smart, but I mean, you know, he's savvy. But that's what would happen, of course. That's what would happen. We know that's what would happen. So, Iran, you took a big W. But mark my words, you know, one day when the era of cringe is over and we get a hawk in the Oval Office, oh, you guys are going to take such a massive L. It'll be your last L. It'll be an L that sends you 6 feet under forever. So thank you for watching, YouTube.